Welcome back to Women's Strength and Bodybuilding, where we highlight beautiful and talented women who compete. My name is Mark, and Natalia. 2 major first place wins in 1 week? Wow, amazing. Side note, I love the blue suit. I think it's my new favorite color so far. We'll get into all that and more on today's show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. So let's jump into the results of the New York Pro, shall we? Let's cover top 5 in all the women's divisions. First up is women's bodybuilding. Coming in first place was Natalia. No, not that one. Well, she did too. But I'm talking about Natalia Kovaleva. And she looked massive. The sheer size of her chest was almost like a cartoon superhero. And everything she did fit gorgeously together. She brought a dark and exotic look that was extremely beautiful. I love the red leopard suit, mixed with the bedazzled cross earrings. Women's bodybuilding is constantly evolving, and I feel like Miss Kovaleva brought old school size, mixed with some really great new and modern touches. Her delts looked extremely round and full, and in some of these photos it looks like she's got 2 veins running down her biceps. Overall, her appearance was really exciting, and really well done. Natalia Kovaleva is qualified for the Olympia, so if she's gonna dethrone Miss Pretty Muscle, then she might need to add a bit more size in her legs and calves to match the size she has in her glutes. Also, her six-pack looked beautifully ripped and tapered, but she needs to focus on controlling the midsection just a little bit more. This was an extremely exciting appearance, and this one just hits different. In second place was Julia Whittisell, whose hot pink suit was also on point. This is an interesting one because from the front, she looked a little bit more blocky and square-shaped than your average female bodybuilder. But then she hits the side poses, and it almost looks like she grew new muscles on the spot that really pop. She brought some really shredded glutes, and I really liked the changes she made from prejudging to the finals. It looks like she was able to dry out a little bit more, get more of a pump, and make a few last minute improvements. This is really evident in her rear lat spread pose. I mean, check out this side by side. Her hair looked awesome too. During the prejudging, it looked more traditional with the part down the center, and at the night show it looked a lot more exotic. It was really well done. Julia looked awesome. And I'd say if she added more size and definition to her front double bicep pose, rear lat spread, and quads, she could have a real shot at winning this thing next year. In third place is a throwback, Renee Marvin. You might remember her from about 10 years ago for having a pretty insane most muscular pose. I didn't even know she was still competing. But sure enough, here she is. She looked almost unrecognizable. And I mean that in a good way. She looked really pretty here. And if you had shown me some of these pictures first, then told me that it's Renee Marvin, I wouldn't have believed you. It's so great to see her back in action, and that she did so well here, because the New York Pro is probably one of the hardest shows around outside of the Olympia. Her smile here was infectious, and she's definitely still got it. I'd like to see her come back in with more size and a little bit more ripped, especially in the back. It's great to see you back in action, Renee, and congrats on third place. I hope to see you in more shows soon. In fourth place was last year's champion, Donna Salib. And this is what I mean when I say the New York Pro is one of the hardest shows. You never know who's going to bring that next level conditioning. And as my trainer used to say, it all depends on who shows up. In looking at Donna's win last year, right off the bat I can tell you that she had a much better tan. In some of these pictures from the 2022 show, some of her muscles look so big that they're about ready to burst. And when you contrast that to this year's show, it's hard to know if it's just the tan or maybe the conditioning is a little bit off here. I noticed a little less hardness in the glutes and a bit less tightness in the midsection. She might have been battling external factors here. And the only reason I bring this up is because we want to see these ladies do well and have repeat victories. Hopefully Donna's able to tighten up and bounce back soon. I'd love to see her win another one. In fifth place is Tawanda Smith, and I love the Wonder Woman suit. She has a really pleasing aesthetic, especially in the back poses. She brought a lot of thickness in the glutes and hamstrings. And even though it's not quite as conditioned as the top 3, she still looks really good. She's definitely got some potential. And I would have loved to see her control her midsection just a little bit better. Her tan also got a little bit runny during prejudging, so she was holding on to a little bit too much water under the skin. It looks like she fixed the problem during the night show, but you know how these judges can be. So there's women's bodybuilding. Very exciting finishes this year, especially in the top 2. Let's get into women's physique next. And first was Natalia Abraham Coelho. Again, and I just can't say enough great things about her. If you're just tuning into my channel, Natalia also won the Pittsburgh Pro less than 7 days ago. She won the Pittsburgh Pro and the New York Pro last year as well, and also the Olympia. You could fill a book with the amount of shows she's won at this point. I don't really know how she could have improved from her first place finish a week ago, but it looks like she did. I mean, take a look at her midsection here. It looks just about the smallest, tightest, and most tapered it's ever been. And it really gives her a gorgeous overall shape and structure here. Everything is proportionate. The symmetry and size in her legs perfectly matches the upper body. Her calves perfectly match her forearms. Her hair and facial beauty are the best in the business. She's one of those special elite competitors that if she stopped competing today, people would remember her for a lifetime. I think she said she's going to take a small break before the Olympia, and she's definitely earned it. If you had told me 10 years ago when the IFBB pulled the plug on women's bodybuilding that a competitor as pretty as Natalia would reinvigorate the sport with as much passion and enthusiasm as she has, I wouldn't have believed you. So Natalia, thanks for being awesome. You looked absolutely beautiful. And congratulations. In second place was Emily Schubert, who also won second place at the Pittsburgh Pro last weekend. You gotta admire these ladies for going straight through on these shows. Emily also looked really pretty here, and she added a few details from her look from last week that made her really stand out. Emily brought great size and conditioning, even better than last week. In a lot of these poses, she looked bigger, drier, and harder than many of the competitors we saw in the women's bodybuilding division. She might have even brought more size than Natalia did, especially in the quads. It's just that Natalia has a more flowing and feminine structure, and that's something that you either have or you don't. But even so, I'm a really big fan of Emily and what she's been able to do in the past 2 weeks, and I really hope to see more of her. So Emily, congrats, you looked beautiful. In third place was Joselie Schoenherr, and she was able to move up a placing from fourth last week at the Pittsburgh Pro. She looked pretty comparable, but her tan was a little bit better last week. She had more oil and gloss, and it made everything really pop. And here she looked a little bit smoother and more sateen. She looked bigger and freakier with a darker glossy tan, but still impressive to see her move up a placing. So congrats. In fourth place was Yuna Kim, and honestly I might have put her in front of Joselie. This show had some real beauties, and Yuna Kim was definitely one of them. I'm guessing that she was too smooth and didn't bring enough size in the glutes to crack the top 3, especially when you contrast her to Natalia and Emily. But Yuna still looked really pretty here, and has an extremely attractive aesthetic that pairs well with her hair and facial beauty. Her arms look more smoothed out than the top 3. I think she looked really great here. She might not have earned the first place medal, but she still looked incredible. I hope we get to see her again soon, and congrats on your fourth place finish, Yuna. In fifth was Anne Gruber, and her suit was awesome. Anne brought lots of great definition, but needed a little bit more size to make her more competitive. I also would have liked to see her control her midsection a little bit better. But that aside, a well-deserved 5th place finish for Anne. Okay, you know how I do. This video is already getting kinda long, so I'm gonna breeze over wellness, figure, and bikini really quick. Gisele Machado ended up winning first again in wellness, just like last week at the Pittsburgh Pro. It truly is eye-popping to see the development she has in her glutes. She brought that same full and tight look as she did last week. And I love the silver bathing suit. I'm not sure if it was part of the regulations, but it seemed like last week everybody in bikini, figure, and wellness for the most part had matching red suits. So it was nice to see Gisele mix things up for a change. Moving up 2 placings from last week and taking home second was Stefani Samrazi, which is interesting for sure. I remember pulling pictures of her last week thinking she should have been higher. And now she is. Crazy that last week she placed just behind Lily Dong, and this week she placed in front of Lily. Which brings me to our 3rd place champion, Lily Dong. Lily also placed 3rd last week, so it's awesome to see her hang on to her placing. I think she's taking a bit of a breather after this, and there's a really funny video on her Insta of her stocking up on some breads. Enjoy it, Lily. You deserve it. In 4th place was Edna D'Souza, and in 5th was Daisha Johnson. So let's get into figure really quick. In 1st place was Maria Piera, who moved up from 3rd place last week at the Pittsburgh Pro. In 2nd was Natalia Soltero, who tied her 2nd place finish from last week. In 3rd place was Jennifer Seinert. In 4th place was Renee Miller. And in 5th place was Danielle Rose. Let's finish up with bikini really quick. Aimee Delgado ended up taking 1st, just like she did last week at the Pittsburgh Pro. That's 4 bikini wins in 2023 so far. Will she take home the Olympia? I can't wait to see. In second was Rewana Harley. In third was Evie Eskandar. In fourth was Eli Fernandez. And rounding out fifth was Shanice Case. Okay, that wraps it up for the 2023 New York Pro. Congrats to all these ladies. They all look very beautiful. Please like the video, leave a comment on who's your favorite, and subscribe for more great women's strength and bodybuilding content.